Hi everyone, in this video we're going to learn about SAMR. SAMR is a model for using technology. It's a framework and it helps teachers to integrate technology into the classroom. Before I get started, I want you to know that I used an app called Gamma. It's an AI app to create this presentation, and this is something that you will have to do this week. So you will create something very similar to this. When I first created it, there were a lot of misspellings. So I had to go in and fix the misspellings because AI is not perfect, and I had to make it my own. So let's get started learning about SAMR, and then I'll teach you how to do this later. So this is a simple introduction, and it's just explaining once again that it's a framework, and it helps you to really evaluate how you want to use technology in the classroom. If you're studying education, you've probably heard of Bloom's taxonomy, and SAMR is very similar to that, but with technology. And as you can see, there are 4 different pieces to SAMR. It was developed by Dr. Ruben Pintatora, and I just want to do a fangirl shout out. I actually got to meet him, and he is just a wealth of knowledge, and so I'm going to continue sharing now that I did my fangirl shout out. But so substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. And if you look, whenever you can read through this, I'm not going to read everything to you. We'll go into each of them in a moment. But if you look at this chart, you will see that whenever we're using technology in the class, we're simply enhancing by doing substitution and augmentation. When we get to the next level of modification and redefinition, that's when transformation happens and student learning really begins to change. So I kind of like to compare this to Starbucks coffee because everyone can kind of relate to that, and I sure do enjoy my coffee. But basically, the S, substitution, is really just, it acts as a direct tool replacement. So it just replaces traditional tools. Like instead of using pencil and paper, well, now I'm going to use a computer. When augmentation happens, it starts to get a little bit more enhanced. So you can see we have the coffee, and now we're going to make it a latte. We're going to put in some milk into there, and the learning process may have to add some new features and functionality, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And then remember, those are just enhancing. Now when we get to modification, we really are looking at technology in the ways that it is changing activities that are being designed, and it really is a shift in knowledge. So you look at that macchiato, you can see now we have the caramel added to that. And then finally with redefinition, we get the pumpkin spice, which is everybody's favorite right now. With the whipped cream, and this is new tasks completely that have been developed. So let's dive deep into substitution. It's just a direct replacement tool. You can see we have a traditional pen and paper tool we may use to take notes, and now we're going to use a digital note taking. We're going to move on to augmentation. The traditional tool may be making flashcards. You make the old-fashioned flashcards. I still do that with index cards. Well, now we're going to use an online source, and we're going to create them, but we're also going to incorporate some pictures into that word, and that takes a little bit more skill to get those pictures in. And then when we get to modification, this is really a significant change. So maybe the traditional skill is write a research paper. Well, now we're going to maybe collaborate. Maybe I'm going to write it as a team, or maybe I'm writing my own, but I'm collaborating on the research. And I'm going to gather information, and maybe I have a shared document that my fellow students and I are adding information to. And we're going to create a presentation. Maybe we include some videos that I've actually created as a student, or visual content that I've created, and we're educating others about our finding. It takes a lot more skill to get into this modification, and that's when transformation, again, starts to happen. The redefinition is oftentimes the unknown. It's new learning experiences, and we would need the technology in order to do them. So traditionally, I may have a lecture on historical events. We may use the textbook. The students may take notes. Well, if we redefine it, the students really learn about the historical events, maybe in that lecture, and then maybe they use the information they learned in other research to create a virtual field trip. And they're using VR technology. And then they share this field trip on the internet so others can experience. So they're giving back, they're creating, and I really can't tell you what their virtual field trip will be like until they do it. So in conclusion, the SAMR model really provides that framework like I've been sharing. It really lets people, teachers, think about the challenges of the future, and it really helps you to reflect on your practice, your planning, really thinking about your planning, what SAMR model are you using, what part are you using in your class and your lesson plan. Implementation, so you really are implementing technology-enhanced learning activities, and that's very important as we prepare our students for the future, and then it really helps us to evaluate. So I hope that this helped you to learn a little bit about SAMR and on to learning about TPAC now.